What are you excited to hear?
Just a little bit more. By the way, good morning, everybody. It's good to be with you. Just a little bit more physicality on the edges, probably. But honestly, this team is really good, even with the spider pads on, just the modified pads, at having nice physical work on the inside. You know, that initial thrust of the O lineman and D lineman, it's been there with the pads. It's just that now they have some more limited, full tackling stuff. And I think Sam Pittman and this staff are very well aware of, you know, tackle good, try to stay up when you can, and there's only limited periods they can do it. So, you know, you've got to be able to, when the opener gets here, you've got to be able to know what it feels like to be tackled and to tackle people other than the quarterbacks. And we're going to start seeing some of that maybe.
Tommy, do you think Tom's on Saturday going to be with his binoculars and looking at that scrimmage from afar?
Find him a perch somewhere.
I don't know if Tom's purchased some binoculars or what. No open scrimmage on Saturday, Tom. Are you going to be perched up somewhere trying to watch that from afar?
Well, I think they would frown on that.
Yeah, probably would.
Nah, I don't know. It's frustrating that we have to kind of rely on them. Like, who made big plays? Oh, how long was it? And they don't like to be, you know, super specific about everything, but we have to ask it. And so I wish we could see it, but we can't. And that's been going on, you know, for quite a while. And, you know, we get what we can. So when you read on Saturday night and Sunday morning about what happened in the scrimmage, just know that our eyes weren't on it.
And I just wonder how much some of the players we can put in Sharpie pen that we know are starting on this football team, you know, not just KJ Jefferson, but, you know, you look at Ricky Stromberg up front, you look at, Dalton Wagner, you look at, you know, some of these guys that you know have spots locked in, your running backs with Rocket Sanders. How much do you scrimmage? I find the management plan just as interesting, Tom, on how many licks you're going to let these guys take, how much scrimmage time these guys need, and also just how they go about evaluating the twos and the threes behind them. I think that would be as interesting to watch in a scrimmage as anything.
Oh, absolutely it would. I would limit Rocket Sanders to, I don't think I'd want him to be tackled to the ground, 8 or 10 times in this entire camp. Because you know what he can do. His pass blocking the other day was just so on point. So, yeah, maybe you let A.J. Green get hit a few more times than that, and certainly Dominion and Joyner you do. And those two guys need work on live pass protection, and not just the drill with the linebackers, which was very enlightening the other day, but the full team deal. Dudes who are running stunts and which guy's coming, all that kind of stuff. Those running backs need to work with that. But you're right. I think maybe in the secondary, some DBs, you don't let Jalen Catalon go live tackle but a few times in this camp with his shoulder. Same probably with a few of the top cornerbacks. Same with Bumper Poole.
Yep. And
possibly Drew Sanders. So you're guys like Pooh Paul and Jordan Crooks and Jackson Woodard, they're getting some tackling reps in. And then you just have to be super smart with what you do with your O-line and D-line. And you got to be very careful with your D-linemen now, because with Torian Carter being out for a while and we're not sure when Cam Ball's going to return, and Taylor Lewis, they've got to try to keep those D tackles in good shape.
Yeah, we were talking about Catalon earlier, and Ty made a point. I think he's probably not way off that Catalon is going to be a front runner for SEC Comeback Player of the Year after missing half a season with injury. And I surmised or was wondering, I'll ask you the same question, does he have to change his style a little bit? Does the way he goes about hitting due to the targeting rules and also just preserving that shoulder and trying not to have further injury, do you think we see any change at all in the way Jalen Catalon played with more reckless abandon? Is that dialed back any this year, Tom?
I actually think about this from time to time, and last year in camp, right before he got hurt, I had asked him that question, and his answer was more or less, no, I am who I am. I have to play this way. But, the clip came out of the tackle he had on Josh Oglesby that hit Hunter Yurichek's cheek, that was right on the sideline. And I think, A, you take care of your teammates if you're not delivering that hard of a blow right on the sideline. B, you're helping take care of yourself. And then triple, your AD. Taking care of your AD when you do that.
Yeah.
So my answer would be, yeah, Jalen, let's hit when it's on the field. I mean, but let's save the super huge collisions for game days. And Clay Henry, who's on your air a lot, he's had this theory about DBs. It's the shoulders, and so you got to be careful the leverage you use, the amount of force, and all that kind of stuff. And it would serve him well in the long run for his pro career and ejections from games, because the rules on it, are so, up to interpretation. But he can bring it. And yes, I would say he's a prime candidate for comeback player of the year, but it's based on being healthy all year, because even the first half of last season, you could tell he just wasn't the same, and his shoulder was already hurting him. He couldn't tackle like we're used to seeing him tackle. And so him at full strength, we saw a 99 tackle season in a 10-game season in 20. Yeah, he could duplicate that.
He's no good to anybody if he's held out for targeting, and no good to anybody, and no good for his future if injured. So I want to ask you about Isaiah Sategna. Here's a player that everybody's talking about replacing Treylon Burks, which you're not going to do with one player, and a lot of focus has been on Jordan Hazelwood. What do you think we see at the beginning of the year with the freshman wide receiver from Fayetteville with Sategna, and what kind of player do you think he might become by November, Tom?
Guy who can get separation because of his speed, and as Kenny Guyton pointed out, you just see a guy who can run by people. And so we've seen him try to run an end around in the fastball starts with him. I kind of think he's going to be one of your main guys that gets that type of play. Defenses will be on the lookout, I would say, for him and Hornsby doing that kind of thing. But if you're the coaching staff, you're plotting up what's our ideal number of reps that we split around, who's touching the ball on this given play. You're going to have your Rocket Sanders 20. You're going to have, KJ, delivering or keeping the ball X number of plays. You plot out your receivers. We want these guys to get 5, 6, 8, catches or targets per game. And then Sategna, give him the ball a few times a game. And it's the same with Hornsby. How are we going to get him the ball, and how many times do we want him to touch the ball? And so he calculates in, at least early on, a couple times, and then if he starts showing it, and of course in special teams even more, because I think he could wind up being one of the returners, and then Trey Knox and some other guys factor in, but Sategna's got to be in that mix because he could be a game breaker. And the more times you get the ball in the hands of guys who have the best speed on the team, the better your chances of winning games.
We're talking with Tom Murphy this morning, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. Tom, I know that you've been really focused on football. Have you gotten a chance to watch any highlights, any glimpses into this basketball team? They'll take on Barcelona at 1:30 today.
Yeah, I didn't see the whole game. Bob was covering that, and he got the Flow Sports thing. But I did see clips, and, that other team isn't near as athletic as what we're going to see in the SEC. But we know that they can handle the ball in the open court and go hard to the rim. The more guys on your team you can do that, and we saw Brazil at Council, multiple guys, and Kamani crashing the boards the way he does. Nick Smith doing all the varied things that he does. I mean, I bumped into somebody in shopping yesterday, and they were so excited, A, about the entire athletic scene at Arkansas, but B, all the different ways Eric Musselman can play personnel on this team. And whereas you might think some of these freshmen, when you're talking about Ford and Pinion and Dunning, maybe they're guys who, might end up redshirting or not get as much playing time. Well, maybe Eric Musselman has to go to a 2-platoon system, maybe like Nolan did, 5 in and 5 out a little bit, and really make that playing time something they're working for. They're just going to be so fun to watch.
I know a lot of people are excited to see what happens in Bud Walton Arena this year, as they are from 23 days out.
They sold out Bud Walton Arena, too.
Also, I mean, in excitement, back to football real quick, Tom. I was listening to Luke Fickell yesterday. He was on Sports Center, or I guess 2 days ago, and just talking about his team in Arkansas and stuff. They've got some type of Hogs Plus thing with their upcoming season. When do you think the coaching staff really starts diving into Cincinnati? Is that a 2 weeks out, 1 week out? What does that look like for this football team?
Well, they've already got all the cut-ups from Cincinnati from last year. They probably spent some time in spring looking at, a couple of days of just here's what Cincinnati does, and it won't be long before they start. They're probably already implementing some of the packages they're going to use in the opener. Because, you do your stuff, but then there's going to be specific stuff they want to run against Cincinnati, and I wouldn't doubt that they're already dropping some of that in. But the full game plan, like your entire scout team is devoted to running Cincinnati stuff, will probably be a couple of weeks away, or a week and a half. I'm not sure exactly when, but there's no doubt that their plan for how to attack Cincinnati is largely in place already.
Tom, we'll leave it there this morning. We appreciate your time. We'll kind of recap what you hear from the scrimmage and talk more fall camp on Tuesday, okay?
Yeah, outstanding. Talk to y'all then.
All right, Tom Murphy with us from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.